been waiting for you. I'm Taren S, and this is the House of Witchcraft. We're a Crossroads Witchcraft tradition, embracing the balance of both the dark and the light. Would you like to brew a little magic with me? Well, come on in then. Let's brew some. Hello, 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 Crossroads Witches and other magical beings who are leaning in on this video. Thank y'all so much. It's so good to see you. As you can tell, I am not alone.
Hey everyone.
I have got Tesseract joining me for this one. We're going to be talking about tattoos, spiritual tattoos, and all sorts of history things. And he has spiritual tattoos.
Yes, yes.
So I was like, hey Tesseract, let's chat about this a little bit, and how important they are. And we have notes. As always, y'all know I got me some notes.
So we can look educated.
That's right. All right.
Breaking the stigma of tattoos being, just for criminals and things like that. Like, some people like to still think that tattoos just mean you've broken some sort of law and you're in a gang.
We're going to talk about, do you know where the roots of that came from and how that came about? First, let's start with our oldest example. Ooh. All right, we know up to 6,000 BCE, approximately 8,000 years ago, folks were drawing on themselves. And I believe it because I know that if you give any 2 or 3 year old a magic marker and leave them in a room by themselves, what they're going to do with it.
Draw all over everything,
including themselves. All right, I'm not supposed to tell stories about my daughter, but a 3-year-old with a black permanent magic marker.
Uh-oh.
Drew giant circles on herself. I mean, to the point, it was, I just had to wait for it to fade.
Oh, jeez. Not enough alcohol in the world, apparently.
No, I mean, that was one of those magic toddler moments. She was in the room for just a couple of minutes by herself. I mean, and then all of a sudden this child, she's got it on the face, she's got it on the arms, but the giant circles on the belly, I thought was just... where does the spiral come from? You see, we're born to spiral, type. And then back on subject, what we also know is approximately 5,000 years ago, we have, let me make sure I do his name, H.o.W, the Iceman, all right? 3100 BCE was a complete tattooed body, so we could see where the placement of they were in relationship and correlation to it, and then from there, as civilizations went out, of course, everybody was tattooing.
Yes, getting more creative with it.
Yeah, we were just going through it because we were going through, Mesopotamia, going into Egypt, and finding out that the Egyptians did sort of this temporary tattoo procedure.
Yeah, which sounded a little, I don't know how much more or less painful it would be from a regular tattoo because it was like little small cuts.
Right.
That they were putting the ink into.
But they knew it wasn't going to be permanent, but they were, and I was like, oh, so these are like the first, stick-on tattoos.
Oh, yeah. Little temporaries,
Temporary tattoos, go Egyptians,
They were pioneers for a lot of things,
They really
Egypt
were.
props.
You do have to. You really do when you get back into all the things Egypt did. All right, and we find that a lot of these temporaries were actually protections against evil. All right,
so not really surprising.
But it was like they were doing a working or something, and that was part. I mean, I'm supposing, y'all. I don't know that, but somehow it was being incorporated into whatever else they were doing. All right, and then of course when we get into Polynesia, over throughout all the islands there, they're still tattooing themselves, and these are for social, your family. It could be according to your location, the ground, your tribe, your culture, and for spiritual purposes. We, through all of these cultures, one of the things we do see a commonality is spiritual tattoos. tattoos that have a very deep significance, you know. I mean, of course, the Vikings like to tattoo themselves, you know.
And tattoo is just like, it's a tool. Like, you can use it for spiritual or non-spiritual purposes. And I think anytime you get a spiritual group of people around, you know, and there's something new to try out and something to inspire a new form of practice, then of course it's going to take on, and you'll find it, you know, just utilized in different ways by different groups, however they're inspired to use it. So it's old, it's timeless, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So just figure out how you feel about it.
That gets to, why do some folks today think that they're evil, demonic, and bikers only?
Yeah.
was really, it was the identifier in the early Christians, when they saw what the indigenous, what the local folk were doing, they labeled that as demonic on heathen, and you know, and a heathen, don't get a tattoo. If you have a tattoo, it's bad. And so for 400 years, the church made a concerted effort to label these as bad, all of them.
And it makes sense when you look at kind of like the practices of, you know, Christianity. At certain points in history, it was very much about purity and making sure that you weren't tainting God's creation, kind of thing. And in other cultures too, like any kind of creative expression is sometimes feared because it's, you know, going a little against the grain, and, you know, it's needed sometimes, but other times people really don't like that because they are trying to maintain a community that is well established.
Well, the church really came down on the tribal style identifiers and spiritual tattoos. Mm-hmm. And really hit at those hard, and in the process it labeled all tattoos bad. You know, I don't think there actually is the verse in the Bible about don't get a tattoo that they say don't, my temple is sacred, don't mark it. Actually, I don't think that's there, but that's another subject. Okay, all right. So tattoos today, where we're at right now in today's world, like I think you just said it, there are some folks who have tattoos because they're pretty.
Yeah,
they like it. It's a form.
It's just body art.
Yes, expression. It is an absolute beautiful form of art, what some folks do. And then there are others that get spiritual tattoos.
Yes.
And you get a spiritual tattoo for so many different reasons. This is one of those, everyone has their own reason why they have it. Sometimes it's a memorial, a remembrance style tattoo.
Yeah, and it's not just for like memorializing people in your life, but also like different events in your life, like a coming of age or an initiation, or even just kind of like getting through some type of struggle, you know, and just having a reminder of, I did that, and you're not going to get me down. You just got to go with it, and, you know, whatever you feel inspired to put on your body. I mean, I always recommend sit with it for a while and make sure you want it for a lifetime.
Yeah, you can't just wipe them off, witches.
Yeah.
If you are really wanting and you are feeling compelled, and a lot of time, one of the things modern witches are doing is getting their witch's mark tattoo, getting that tattoo that basically says, I'm a witch. In whatever way they choose to express it. And very often, they're very small. You see them, I know you guys periodically get glimpses of mine are on the inside of my wrist. When I have bracelets on, you typically can't see it. It's just a small micro tattoo. A lot of times they're put very private. It's not meant to be seen. Mm-hmm. It's not so much look at my tattoo as it is, this is mine. This is mine. Getting that witch's mark tattoo of just like you're saying, this is a lifetime commitment where you're like, okay, I'm a witch. I'm gonna own it. I know who I am, and I'm gonna die with it.
Yes, and you're committed. That's like the best word I can think of for it is just showing commitment to yourself, your craft, whatever it is that you are focusing on when you're getting that tattoo. You are committed to that moment in time.
And it needs to be well thought out. And also where it's done at. needs to, it needs to have the right vibe. We were really lucky in New Orleans this past year. Several of the witches got their first witches tattoo. A couple of us witches, I know I added to my tattoos. I only have a couple. I do have Mama Brigit's Veve on the back of my leg, and I will take a picture of it at the end of the video. You can see that. That was something when involved in the American Haitian voodoo through Papa Nico, and that was my Veve. So I'm going to talk more about that. But I will have Chelsea take a picture of it so you guys can see it's
beautiful.
And it was,
even if you don't know what it means, it's beautiful.
It was done old school style, the tap, 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 tribal style tattoo during a ritual. So it very much, for me, a very, very spiritual tattoo. Now it's your turn. What are you? I've done showed off mine. What are yours?
Well, my witch's mark per se it's hard to put on camera. It's on my ankle, but it was intentional because whenever I am like sitting outside and I'm sitting cross-legged and I'm in a meditative state, as I'm coming out of that state, I want that to be kind of one of the first things that I see, because it'll kind of anchor me. And the fact that it's next to my ankle, it feels like I'm tethered, grounded. Through it. So that's why I put it there. But like my other kind of magical tattoo is my kanji, Japanese kanji, which is upside down. But it's Japanese kanji for Reiki. I do energy healing, and when I got my 3rd degree of Reiki and I knew I was going to be attuned to the energy for life, I decided to get the symbol for life and have my high priestess do that, and it's amazing. And sometimes whenever I feel like when I'm doing energy work, I'll feel it kind of light up, and I'm like, oh, it's running strong today. So it's been interesting. And I've heard similar stories from other energy healers that will get kind of like the symbols that they use in their practice tattooed on their bodies in different areas. And even when they're not actively working on it, they'll feel it kind of heat up. And they're like, oh, I apparently needed a little bit of that energy all of a sudden. Like, thank you, Spirit, for keeping me connected.
They are a connection. You're connecting yourself energetically. And that's why it's so important, which is, all right, to really think it through. Sit on it. Draw it out. Lay the drawing on your altar for a moon cycle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. All right? I mean,
however long you feel you need to be comfortable with it.
Don't rush.
Yeah.
Don't rush. I started we were in New Orleans, we got tattoos. One of the other witches went out looking to see if we could, the universe, the goddess divinity was going to smile upon us.
Oh yeah, and I wasn't even there for the hunt, but I heard Iris did an amazing job of like vetting these people, and then the place that we found, it had the cool skeleton key that you had to walk across.
In tile. It was in tile in the doorway. You could not walk over the skeleton key. And the guy was so cool and hip, and they were really spot on with their, safety clean standards. The one shop we walked by, we didn't even get in the door. All right, this is okay, because Iris had us, and we're going down the street. We get to it, and you see all of us just sort of look at the storefront with, yeah, no. It was
not
just
today.
It was today. All of us at the same time gave out a breath of no. And I was just like, okay, we'll find the next one. But when we found that one, and even just like walking up to it across the street, you sort of were like, okay, this is going good.
Yeah.
And then you go inside, and you got the right vibe. You got the key on the door, in the doorway in tile. You got this really nice, super talented artist there. I mean,
yeah, they had a really good staff. I was very surprised. Or not surprised, impressed. That's the better word. Yes.
Yeah, impressed. It was so we were in this moment where we all felt like the universe that had lined up for us had made a way. So several of us leaned in, and he was also really reasonable with his fees. And that was another thing where I'm like, all right, it's meant to be, So please take your time with whatever spiritual tattoo you choose to get, however you want to express yourself. I hope these notes, our conversation here, inspired you on your own personal journey. And of course, go to houseofwitchcraft.com. All right, it will be in an article written down if you want to sort of go back and peruse the notes. And also we have other interesting things there as well. And I want to thank Tessera for joining us this afternoon. It's always nice to have another opinion in the room. And with that said, I want y'all to have as bright of a blessed day as we're having. And as always, amen. Blessed be. Ashe and A-Bobo.